The real estate market is in the toilet right now. There are absolutely no deals we're doing at these interest rates. Well, I think that's completely false. I'm here to tell you that I found a way to make a cash flowing deal happen in 2024. I'm Mandy McAllister, and I recently bought a car wash that only cost me $3 for $1 of cash flow, whereby all of the multifamily stuff I was buying cost me $25 for $1 of cash flow. I'm here to tell you 5 easy steps of how you can make that happen in your world to take advantage of this $14.7 billion industry. Find your little slice by you. Before we dig into the car wash, let me tell you a little bit about my background in real estate. I started off buying small multis, and I mean about 5 units to about 50 units is my wheelhouse. I really loved getting non-recourse government-backed loans on the larger stuff. But when the interest rates started ticking up, I found deals harder and harder to make them pencil out, and I wasn't getting any deals worth doing. So I dived into business buying because I think that this is potentially the next frontier in terms of how wealth will be created in a really incredible way. Well, let me tell you how I decided which business I wanted to buy. I knew that I knew real estate. I wanted something that was real estate heavy in terms of business. I wanted to make sure that there were fewer employees needed when I was buying this business. And I wanted to complete this sentence in the right way. ChatGPT can't replace X. Right? So this helped me narrow it down to about 2 different businesses, 1 laundromats, 2 car washes. Looked at a bunch of laundromats and then ended up finding a car wash where the purchase price made a lot of sense. So it was listed on Biz by Sell. The real estate was included in the business cost, listed at $500,000. I was able to negotiate a purchase price of $475,000 and did something that was kind of a happy accident. I was able to transition that into 2 different transactions, 1 for the business and 1 for the real estate, which really kind of helped me use my prowess, my ability as a real estate investor to get the best possible loan. It's located in Crest Hill, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, not terribly far from where I live. It was really important to me that I bought something that was a little bit close to where I live. In terms of trying to buy a business as a small multis investor, I bought a motel. We did a really cool rehab. It was really awesome, but it was 6 hours away. Whenever there was an issue, I couldn't just drop everything and go. I got a whole family and lunches to make and school activities to handle. I can't just go 6 hours to Wisconsin to figure out what's going on with a pipe. So it was really important to me when taking on a new venture, even though that there's not a ton of employees, I needed to make sure that I was accessible to go check out a problem when there was one. So I bought this car wash. One of my criteria was I wanted it to be within a half-hour radius of where I live so that I could go inspect what I expect. That falls into this criteria. So we move forward. Obviously, buying a business is tremendously different from buying real estate, but in some ways it could rhyme. So let's dig into those steps and how they're different and how they're similar. So step 1, you got to learn how to read a profit and loss statement. This kind of rhymes with a T12, a trailing 12-month profit and loss statement that you might get if you're looking at multifamily. So that felt really achievable to me when I was looking into it, having come from multifamily. Basically, the big rocks here, the things that we're looking at is how much money is coming in and then how much money is going out. And one thing I'll tell you for sure about a cash business, because I was looking at laundromats and car washes, very heavy cash businesses, sometimes owners don't report everything into the government. So first off, don't be that guy. And second off, understand that you can only get a loan based off of what you have proof of. So when you're reading that profit and loss, get really certain on what those numbers are. Step 2, dig into those financials and really make sure that you're getting the truth. One thing I say a lot when trying to help people learn how to underwrite multifamily deals and also businesses is you've got to get as close to truth as possible. If what you're doing is trying to figure out how much money you will make, you get better ideas if you're putting in truthful numbers on the front end. If you put in garbage numbers, you're going to get garbage numbers out. So how can you confirm what those numbers are? And I really love the idea of going back to the tax returns. How many years previously can you get tax returns from the owner so that you can compare what projections that you have are to what actually happened? So put more truth to that problem. Step 3, let's talk valuation. How do you figure out what the building is worth, what the property is worth, what the business is worth? When I was looking at the equipment, because guys, there is so much equipment. I've got a picture of it that I want to show you because there are so many pumps. There are so many heaters in the floors. Hiring people who knew more than me, going around to the other car washes and people who were in masterminds with me who owned car washes, asking them the curious but could come off as kind of stupid questions really helped me understand what it was that I was looking at, and figuring out that the equipment that I had was good, was something that would be able to last us for a long time, and figuring out those vendors who could come in and fix things when they are truly broken. Asking those questions of competitors and local other owners was what gave me confidence in the equipment we had and what it was valued at. Another important point on valuation is I looked at the tax assessment. That's something that you can go on the county website and figure out what assessment for tax has been put on this property. Well, I knew I was under contract for $400,000 for the property, and the tax assessment was at $570,000. So a couple of things there. Number one, either it was worth way more than I was paying for it, or also whatever the tax bill I was getting, I knew that I would be able to contest that and be able to get it reduced. Then the business piece, I looked up the multiple, just a quick Google search of what is the EBITDA multiple for buying a business, buying a car wash. I saw that the range for that was 2.5x to 3.8 EBITDA. I knew that this was bringing in roughly $100,000 depending on the numbers that I looked at, and I was able to buy this business. What the seller wanted to sell it to me at was $75,000. So I knew that it was not just in that range, it was below the range. So I felt really confident that what I was buying this property for and business for was something that seemed reasonable and was something that I could make money on. Step 4 that I want you to understand before you buy a car wash: do your research. It's incredibly important to know the type of neighborhood that you're buying in and how many cars go by. I was able to see that more than 30,000 cars go by on a daily basis in this location, which helped me feel like a lot of people were going to see this wash. One more thing that I didn't realize until I really dug in was there's many different types of car washes. There's ones that they call a tunnel that you might have gone through, that you put your car into neutral and you go through it. And then there's the self-serve bays. Well, there's a lot of data that suggests that people who work with their hands, people who are landscapers or tradesmen, they work with their hands and they want to clean their car with their own hands. Well, it just so happens that I'm buying a self-service car wash because I want as few employees as possible. And this happens to be in a very working class, blue collar neighborhood where there are a lot of landscapers, there are a lot of tradesmen, and I was able to find that data on census.gov and city-data.gov. Those will help you figure out the types of employment in your area and know that a self-service wash works where there's a lot of people who work with their hands. So understand the population and where your location is. So step 5, how do you get really certain on the dollars that will be going out of your business so that you can run it properly? When it comes to underwriting anything, this is my approach to multifamily, this was my approach to the car wash, look at the big rocks. What are the things that you're going to spend the most money on? Well, number one, if you're paying someone to work here, that is a really big deal. Get really close to truth on that. How can you figure out what that payroll is going to be? Potentially by keeping on board previous talent, that would be ideal. Was not the case for what I inherited. So going to Glassdoor.com, I was able to estimate what I would be paying people to work with me. Another thing that you pay a lot of money for in a car wash is the water. Just because you know what water costs, let's say you live in Indiana, just because you know what water costs there doesn't mean you know what water costs in Illinois. So I went to actual bills. I went to the actual usage to kind of estimate out the seasonality that was going to happen in a car wash. So when you live in Illinois or in the Midwest, to wash the salt off your car in the wintertime, you're going to wash your car a lot more. In the summertime, when you want to show off your car, you're going to wash your car a lot more, right? So understanding the actual costs on a seasonal basis really helped me project what was going to be coming in and what was going to be going out in the wash. So get as close to truth as possible as you can on your expenses so that you can have accurate projections. When looking at these numbers, when digging into the underwriting, underwriting, I was used to seeing returns of going crazy of a cash on cash of like 10%. Well, what I saw when I was underwriting this car wash for the first time was that when I conservatively estimated all of the money in and all of the money out and looked at actuals to make sure that I was on point for that, what I saw was a conservative $5,000 a month cash flow. So yes, I will be investing more hours in this than I invest in my small apartment buildings, but with the ability to bring in $5,000 on a conservative basis, sometimes depending on the variables that I put in, depending on the number of cars that came in, I could do as much as $7,000. Those are the projections for the seasonal basis. So it's a very exciting asset class that is still real estate heavy because I get the appreciation from that building as well. So lots of cash to be made here. More than 280 million cars in the United States. And how many of them need to be washed? Solid chance that there is a car wash near you that you could look to buy. Well, guys, that's it. Those are the 5 easy steps to go buy a car wash. They all call back to getting as close to truth as possible on the numbers, because that's really what a business is. That's what multifamily is. Getting as close to what will the money in be, what will the money out be. I'm Mandy McAllister. The best way to get a hold of me is through my website, mandymcallister.com, where you'll see all the stuff that I'm up to. If you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe to the BiggerPockets channel and find out more on BiggerPockets.com. We'll see you soon.